All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Kyle Kruthofer, and today I'm here with Mr. John Hallenbeck. And how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So, for those of you who don't know, this is just a little series I'm putting together for people who want to become involved in the amazing industry of the amusement parks and attractions. And I thought I'd start off with the none other than John Hallenbeck of IAAPA. And John, what could you state your position for us?
Yeah, sure. I'm the Vice President and Executive Director of IAAPA, care of one of the four regions that IAAPA has. We have North America, which really is the United States and Canada, which is I take care of. We have Latin America and the Caribbean. We have Asia Pacific and also Europe, Middle East, Africa. So those are the four areas around the world that have IAAPA offices, and I take care of the US and Canada.
Awesome. So what would you say, just a little get to know you, what would be one fun fact about you?
Well, probably anybody my age who's been around the industry this long is, theme parks and amusement parks were always things I enjoyed going to, but I never really thought of it as a career. So, maybe a fun fact would be that I went to school for broadcasting and communications. So didn't really think I was going to get into the amusement industry, but moved to Orlando, Florida way back in 1991. So I guess once you move to Orlando, you kind of make that decision that the attractions industry is going to be a pretty big part of your life. So started working at Universal Studios, and I've been involved for the last basically 30 years.
Awesome. So can you give us a little insight of your history and background?
Yeah, sure. I went to school really to be a sportscaster, and did a little bit of that. I grew up in Wisconsin, and did a little bit of that after college and professional training school. I went to a sports broadcasting school in Baltimore, and worked in radio for about 5 years before my wife and I decided to move to Florida. So we just packed up the U-Haul and everything we owned and moved to Orlando, and we're kind of sick of winter, so we just decided Orlando was a good place, and just started a part-time job, really working in the theme parks. I was a ticket seller at Universal Studios. Then I became full-time, worked through, I was a lead in parking, I was in admissions, attractions, special events, and then just started kind of blossoming my career. I had a lot of great opportunities. When I started, it was just a flat parking lot in Universal Studios, Florida. That was it. No Islands of Adventure, no City Walk, none of that. So, I got to see the property at Universal Orlando grow a lot. I was involved in planning and development and construction for Islands of Adventure. So I got to move my family out to Los Angeles for a few years to work on that, and then back to Orlando for the construction. When Islands of Adventure opened, I was the front gate manager for guest services and admissions for Islands of Adventure. And we got done with that in 1999, and there was a park being built in Osaka, Japan, that opened in 2001, and I was asked if I wanted to be the front gate manager in Japan. So I decided, why not? It sounded like a fun thing to do. So we lived in Japan for 2 years, and I was on the opening team for Universal Studios Japan. It was a great experience. Really my first time doing anything internationally, so that had a lot of challenges, but also a lot of great memories involved with that. And then moved back to Orlando and worked back at Universal Orlando for about 8 years when the opportunity came to actually move to Singapore. And I was part of the crew there doing planning development and actually ran that attraction for 5 years. And then we added the Sea Aquarium, which at the time was the largest aquarium in the world. We added Adventure Cove Water Park, and then Dolphin Island, which had 24 Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins that we had. And it was really great. I was in charge of all of those attractions, and got to still keep my Universal connection through running Universal Studios Singapore. After that, made a decision to move to Dubai. So I was in the Middle East for a few years working on Dubai Parks and Resorts. There we opened 3 theme parks at the same time. Do not recommend that to anybody. It was a lot of hard work. But I had the opportunity to kind of work on pieces of all of those 3 parks. I was the vice president of revenue operations. So really anything that brought in money, the front gate, retail, food and beverage, all of the money-making endeavors that you would find in the attractions industry were under my belt. And then when the parks were getting ready to open, I got shifted to being the GM of Motion Gate, which was the movie-themed theme park of the 3. We opened a Legoland, Motion Gate, and a Bollywood park at the same time. And so I got to be the GM of that facility for just a fairly short time before I decided enough at Hershey Entertainment in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You might be seeing some things in the news about a new roller coaster and a new front gate and a lot of expansion happening there. I was project managing that program, more on the operational side of things and just trying to help get that project set up. And then IAAPA came calling. The vice president position for North America came available. I had been involved in IAAPA for 20 years, prior to coming to IAAPA, which I've been here now for 2 years. And it was back in Orlando. I have family here, lots of friends. It kind of was my second home and had become my first home for many years. So it was nice to come back, and the job at IAAPA has been great. I get to interact with all the people that I worked with and collaborated with, and maybe were competitors with, over the years. But really, it gave me a good opportunity to come back and give back to the industry what I had learned and gained so much. Not super old, but old enough that I'm, getting to the point in my career where it's time for me to start to focus on the new generation of industry professionals and see what I can do to help, bring those people like yourself, along for the ride. So it's been a great career, and, hopefully will continue for a lot more years, but it's an industry that, as I said before, I didn't necessarily get into, but I was lucky enough to kind of fall into it and never look back.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story. Can you tell us a little bit more about IAAPA and what IAAPA does for the industry?
Yeah, IAAPA started 102 years ago, and really it was doing a lot of governmental advocacy in the United States. It was purely a U.S. company or association, and dealt a lot with safety, a lot with workers' issues, just really looked at the amusement industry and made sure that things that we were doing affected governmental decisions, whether it be on safety or any of those issues that may involve workers or the industry. And then kind of grew into more things and networking opportunities. Obviously, everybody knows IAAPA from the expos that we have. We conduct 3 expos every year, one in Asia, one in Europe, and one here in Orlando. So the expos are a way that people can get together. Manufacturers and suppliers can, let people know what their products and services are available, and operations and individual members can come and see those and, learn a lot. There's a lot of educational opportunities there as well. As far as networking, you can't get much more into the weeds with the industry and the people that are here. I believe last year we did over 40,000 attendees in Orlando. So, it's definitely the who's who of the attractions industry comes to the IAAPA expos, and we put those on every year. Unfortunately, with the COVID-19 crisis happening right now, the Asia Expo was postponed until next year. We're still working, though, on the Europe Expo that's scheduled to be in London in September. And, of course, the Orlando show is in November every year. So expos are definitely a big piece of what we do. And then general education and communications overall. We have a lot of committees. So if you're an IAAPA member, you could be involved in a committee, either on a constituency that you are familiar or know about, or even a type of business. You might be able to be on a committee to help other IAAPA members, just grow strong and grow the industry stronger as well. A lot of webinars, a lot of educational opportunities. We have a big certification program where you can, show and prove that you have knowledge of the industry, and you can either be a a certified leader, a manager, or an executive. So there is that certification program available. Just a lot of resources, and we pretty much, I usually say, are the glue of the industry, where we try to bring everybody together to help each other. And when it comes to safety and operations, which I was involved in for most of my career, there really are no competitors. We talked a lot, when I was at Universal, with folks from Disney, SeaWorld, all over, because the more we can make the industry stronger, better, and safer, it just helps all of us. So now I have the ability to be able to do that and not have to pick a side.
Awesome. That's really great. I know I'm very thankful for all the work IAAPA's been doing and providing great guidelines for CDC stuff, and especially during these times with the uncertainty of COVID-19 and how it's affecting our industry. So how did you first know that you wanted to be in this industry? Like, how did you get involved?
Yeah, it was more of necessity than actual, of course I loved going to theme parks and attractions. For me, Great America, the Six Flags Park in Gurnee, Illinois, was kind of our home park, or the biggest park near where I grew up. So it was a Marriott property way back then, so if that dates me a little bit. But it was always a fun outing to go out to either a water park or a park, or even just hiking trails and other things to get out and do things that were enjoyable. So I think everybody has a bit of that want and desire to do thrilling things. But I hadn't really thought of it as a career. Like I said, I was more involved in sports and broadcasting, and thought that was the direction I was going to go. And I was doing okay in that. But when we moved to Orlando, obviously there's so many opportunities here for positions and jobs with the various attractions that, to get a job just to make ends meet, to be able to pay rent when you're a young kid, that's important. And I just got lucky enough that when I had moved here, it was just the first year of operation at Universal. And, I really looked and said, hey, I have some different opportunities here. I could maybe go work at Disney, an established attraction. But I made the decision to go to Universal because it was new, it was young. I wouldn't have been somebody that hadn't been there as long as a lot of other people, just because it hadn't been open as long. So it kind of really paid off that I made that decision, because Universal gave me a lot of great opportunities in different countries around the world, and I was able, through hard work and dedication, to be able to continue to move up that ladder and really make a great career. So I guess I was not inspired to get into the attractions industry. I just kind of fell into it a little bit, but it's been one that I've been interested in, and is definitely one that I would have not traded anything for the world now, in retrospect, to have been able to get into this great industry.
Awesome. What would you say a day in your life looks like?
It's a lot different than it used to be now. With the COVID-19 situation, I have this virtual background of the office, but I haven't been there in 2 months because I've been working from home. So a day for me now is really sitting down at my computer in what's typically a small TV viewing room. I call it the sports room, and just sitting at my computer doing Zoom meetings, doing interviews, really talking a lot with our team. We do a lot of advocacy still right now. We're trying to, make sure that Congress is aware of the needs for our industry right now, because it's such a horrific time for the industry, where the majority of our members and our businesses are closed still, and some of them are starting to reopen. But really, it's just fighting that fight to try to make sure that the industry continues to get together, get stronger, and that our needs are heard on Capitol Hill and throughout Canada as well. And just doing a lot of emails, a lot of Zoom meetings, and just a lot of talking with people, but unfortunately not being able to see them in person.
Yeah, I know that's, of course, again, with all the uncertainty, it's really important to what you guys are doing, and thank you for what you guys are doing. I know you guys have a lot of the attractions. You have their back, so we really appreciate that. So,
Yeah, and And that's current, currently the world we live in, but in a normal day, we do a lot of things with events where we have networking events, education sessions, and that outside of our office. So there is quite a bit of traveling. I do attend all the expos, around the world, and we have various meetings and events that happen around the world that once in a while I'll get a chance to attend those as well. So there is some traveling and meeting with a lot of members and being able to visit attractions. That's the fun part of the job. I haven't been able to do that, unfortunately, so much lately. But giving back and meeting people and talking with them is something that I really, really enjoy, and I can't wait to get back to.
Awesome. So, what would you say? What are a couple of your favorite parts about working at?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had the opportunity, luckily, to get to any park that I was involved in. The design and development and construction of. You kind of consider those your children almost. So, of course, I'll be a little bit partial to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Japan and Universal Studios Singapore, just because I was so involved in those from a Universal standpoint. I am very proud of being a part of opening those 3 parks in the Middle East. Again, I wouldn't recommend that. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure. But the product that was put out was very top notch, and I'm very proud of those. So those parks are near and dear to myself, and also Hershey Park, just steeped in its tradition and history, is amazing, and to be able to be a part of bringing something new to such a storied location was really pretty cool. And just the whole aura of Hershey and the Milton Hershey ideals and all that was very relevant and made a lot of sense to me, and it was great to be a part of that. So I would say probably my favorite parks are the ones that I've been really able to be a good part of. If I looked outside of ones that I was part of, I really enjoy Tokyo Disney Sea. Is just an amazingly themed park, and I think it's maybe one of the most beautiful parks I've ever seen. So I would put that one on the list. Europa Park in Germany is one that I've had the ability to get to a few times, and it feels very easy and very homey, and just is one that the rides are awesome, but the whole experience just makes you feel very at ease, and I like that park a lot. And then there are quite a few in the U.S. that I love going to parks and visiting them, but I might look at more from a ride perspective or individual attractions, or just what maybe your feeling is. Obviously you get parks like Silver Dollar City and Dollywood that have such a different feel than a Six Flags or a SeaWorld park would, that they're kind of hard to compare because they are such different experiences, but they're both great. And then really any of the Disney parks. I mean, they just put so much time, effort, and money into those parks to make them spectacular that you can't leave them off of the list. I'd probably mention most parks. I'm not really partial, I guess, other than the Universal parks, only because I was so involved in those.
Yeah, of course. So what fuels you every day in this industry? Like, what keeps you going? What makes you love it so much?
Yeah, I think it's people and interactions. That's what's made this whole situation with COVID-19 so difficult is, we're talking right now, but I would much rather be sitting in a room talking to you and just sharing stories than, having to be on a computer. But that personal interaction, I think just seeing smiles on families' faces, knowing that, you're helping present opportunities for people to have a great time and to have fun and to make lasting memories. That part is, pretty great, and it keeps me going. I'm not so much of a spreadsheet or a numbers or an office person. So those kind of things don't really fuel me as much. I know it's necessary part of the job, but I would always prefer walking in the park, talking to guests, talking to team members, and, just having that personal interaction with people. That really is the big thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, why I love this industry so much, because, early in my life, I struggled with family issues and stuff, and just other stuff. And it was amazing how you could just walk in those gates and leave your worries behind of all life, and you could just it would just transport you to a different atmosphere, and that atmosphere is, I think, what keeps people coming back. So that's yeah, I totally agree with that one. So do you have any advice for someone who is now starting out in?
Yeah, sure. Actually, my daughter works at Universal Studios. She's been there. She went to Rosen College here in Orlando, which is a big hospitality school, and a piece of University of Central Florida. And I give her advice as much as I would give anybody: is just work hard, go for the things you want. There'll be times when you're doing things you don't necessarily like or don't think are important, but they are very important because they teach you able to propel yourself. And I think being humble is another thing too. Is everybody has a job in a park or in an attraction, and unless everybody is working together to make that job happen, you're not going to have as enjoyable of a time if there's disconnect or lack of communication. So just be humble and listen to everything you can, and listen to your employees, listen to your guests, and react to be able to make your facility or attraction better, because that will just get people to come back again and again. To me, the basis of all attractions is repeat visitation. If somebody has an experience where they come and say, I've been there and done that, you're probably not going to be around for a long, long time. So the more you can interact with people, learn from them, and continue to get better and focus on those details, I think is what makes successful attractions and successful employees, within those attractions.
Awesome. And tell us, where can we learn more about IAAPA? Do you guys have a website?
Yeah, we're at IAAPA.org. There's a website now is filled with a lot of COVID-19 resources, but there are definitely ones that people can use. We've recently put out a guidance for reopening for attractions that's really kind of like a framework people can look at, and as they get ready to reopen their attractions post COVID-19, that they have a guide to be able to do that. That's on that website. If you are an IAAPA member, you have access to our digital Fun World magazines. You have access to all of our archives of webinars where you can just go and watch those. And just a lot of great information on everything that IAAPA provides. It's IAAPA.org.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how awesome even if it's student membership. I believe a student membership is $50. The amount of resources you get is it really just helps put a direction in your path if you want to get involved in this industry. So I cannot recommend that enough. So now,
yeah, I would also add, our phone numbers are listed, our email addresses are listed on the website. So if anybody has a question, or if you are a student, you're working on a paper, you have a question, or you're just thinking about, maybe this is something or some piece of an attraction I might be interested in as a career, pick up the phone and give us a call. That's why we're here. We don't ever mind listening or hearing from people. So, our phone lines and our emails are always available. Just like you sent me an email asking if maybe we could have this interview, and here we are. So, it definitely can happen.
Yeah. So now we're going to do a quick little speed round on get to know you, fun facts about you that I'm sure a lot of people in this industry and enthusiasts would appreciate. What is one attraction that really means a lot to you?
For me, it would be Dueling Dragons. That was one that I was involved in quite heavily. Dual B&M coaster, which isn't around, unfortunately, anymore. It was in the Lost Continent area, which is now the Harry Potter area at Islands of Adventure. But that was two coasters that I was very involved with the, the setup, the construction, the coordination of all of that piece of construction. And it just really is one that I'm super fond of, and really sad that they're not there anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most iconic roller coasters, probably of all time. But yeah, what's your favorite roller coaster?
My favorite roller coaster, I think would, that's a very good one. I like a lot. I tend to be more of a steel roller coaster than a wood roller coaster guy, just myself. I do think that maybe I would pick the Incredible Hulk. Again, I'm not trying to just stay at Universal, but it's one that, you know, the elements in that are great. The launch is amazing. It's a B&M, so it's super smooth. So I guess I would pick the Hulk. And that's not a cop-out. That's really great.
Of course, for sure. Um, what is your favorite water ride?
Hmm. Let me see. That's a good one. This is supposed to be a quick fire round, and I don't even have a good answer for my favorite water ride.
I couldn't come up with a good.
Um, yeah, I guess I would say maybe Splash Mountain is just fun because the theming is good and it's the drop isn't so huge, but there's just a lot of good elements in it. So maybe I would pick that for as much of the theming element side than maybe the drop or the thrill piece of it. But I guess I'll pick that. If you consider the Matterhorn to be a water ride because it has a little bit of water element at the end, maybe I would pick that one.
Awesome. And favorite theme parks.
Favorite theme park?
Theme parks.
Oh, favorite theme park food. I like corn dogs. Corn dogs are fun and something that you don't see everywhere. I'm a pretty much of a burger and pizza guy, so I like those. But I do like going to theme parks and getting maybe themed food, like uh, you know, if you're in a German area of a theme park, that there would be like pretzels and brats and that. So I think going to Epcot is a fun thing because there's just such variety there. I don't know if you would consider all of that theme park food. I think you're maybe looking for the answer of funnel cakes or churros, but I like to be a little more adventuresome and try, you know, different cultural type foods if they are available.
Yeah, and absolutely, and that's one of the coolest things about theme parks is you can get food where nowhere else, honestly. So, well, you'd have to travel around the world to probably get that food, but it's right in your hometown. But
Yeah, I think the grilled squid at Ocean Park in Hong Kong is pretty good.
oh wow, okay, what does that taste like? I have no,
Uh, Grilled squid.
I don't know. Maybe chicken. I don't know. All right. Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. And if you would like to see someone else who'd want to be interviewed, let me know in the comments and have a great day.